Going guys, let's talk Rugby Championship standings because we've had quite a few changes and we have quite an unexpected leader at the moment. So I want to break this down. Please like, subscribe. It really does help the channel grow. And let's get into it. Now, like I said, there is a very unexpected leader in terms of the Rugby Championship, and is Australia. 2 wins, 2 losses, and they sitting there with 11 points, 3 bonus points, and some might say a little bit lucky to be getting that additional bonus point, which ended up getting them where they are right now. But otherwise, it does stand Australia, South Africa, New Zealand, and then Argentina in 4th place. Honestly, with this Rugby Championship that we are having, it's just so up and down, back and forth. We see New Zealand come through with a big win over Argentina. Argentina then come through with a huge win over the All Blacks. And then, same thing with South Africa versus Australia. The Aussies come through with just a strong win up against the Springboks, but the Springboks come back with a very, very strong second game and pretty much led the exact same in the second half. So there really isn't a clear standout team right now. Both teams, well, all of the teams here, they are winning and losing. It shows just the quality of the Southern Hemisphere rugby, where we have the likes of South Africa and the All Blacks that are being taken to their limits, that are being pushed to their limits with the likes of Australia and Argentina, which shows that they are developing, they are becoming such strong presences in world rugby. And Argentina is just getting that ever bit much closer to England because of the win against Australia in the second test. We have now seen Argentina officially overtake Australia in 6th place. So they kind of swap, where we are now seeing Argentina in 6th, Australia in 7th. And if Argentina can come through with a big win up against South Africa in the next in the next set of tests, anything is possible. Really, anything is possible. But going into the big 2, South Africa versus New Zealand, we are seeing the shift change. And, we're seeing New Zealand jump up to 1st, South Africa jump down to 3rd, and then, South Africa are now back up in 1st, gaining quite a few points, whereas New Zealand are now sitting in 3rd. Ireland are just kind of cruising around right now. They're sitting in that second position, all nice and cool, until they end up having their games later on in the year. But this is crazy. This is such an exciting Rugby Championship where we are not seeing clear, outstanding teams. We are seeing teams that are being taken to their limits, the teams that are having to really dig deep and come through with a big win, as we saw with South Africa, who really had to dig deep in that second test up against Australia, because Australia really showed their grit and that tenacity. Same thing with the All Blacks, where they went into their first test and they absolutely destroyed, but they did not expect the Pumas to come in with that performance that they did in the second test, which completely outplayed them, especially physically, which really goes to show how physical Argentina are and how good they are becoming, especially with a lot of their talent playing in Europe. We have Chocobares, we have Malia, you have Carreras. Carreras is playing in the Premiership. We have Malia and Chocobares playing, I believe they both play for Toulouse, and they just have so many players. And you got to take in consideration, they still have players out injured that are set to be coming back as well, so they have quite a few elite level talents that are just developing so much in Europe and making them a better team for it. So it's going to be interesting to see how things play out with Argentina, and if either Argentina or Australia are able to crack that top 5 spot that England is currently holding. But honestly, a couple wins could definitely see it go that way. So next up, we have South Africa versus Argentina, and we have Australia versus the All Blacks. So we're going to have physicality versus physicality. We're going to have flair with flair. How the All Blacks are going to manage to deal with the Wallabies speed of Corey Toole, Max Jorgensen. We'll see about how Dylan Peach is recovering, whether he's going to be fit or not. And, you know, more than likely we are going to end up seeing a couple other big names, you know, get a bit more playtime. Maybe we'll see a bit of Will Skelton, who knows. But in terms of South Africa, they are going to be going power with power. Argentina with Matera, with Oviedo, with Gonzalez, who has been absolutely killing it in terms of the back row. You know, Carreras, who is just such an important number 10, and he is so consistent. He's just well drilled, and he's exactly the kind of player that they need. On top of Lucio Cinti, Santiago Carrera, Chocobares. So they got a lot of power, they got a lot of speed. The Springboks showed a different side, that they are capable of competing with the likes of the All Blacks in a similar game, in a similar play style to them, and we came out with an absolutely huge win. So it's going to be interesting to see how Rassie now sets up his team for Argentina, especially considering a lot of the more important players, they've already played quite a bit, so there's a good chance we are not going to end up seeing them playing up against Argentina, as some of them will end up being used for the games later on in the year. Rassie doesn't want to be giving anybody more than sort of 10 caps. So, players like your Oxenche, your Ebenezer, Damien Dialende, Jesse Creel, these are all players that, they've played quite a lot. So we're going to see them shift in and out of the squad throughout the next couple of games until the end of the year. But I think we are going to start seeing a lot more rotation. Ethan Hooker put in an absolutely brilliant performance. So it's going to be interesting to see how much game time he is going to be getting. And kind of seeing Damian Willemse and Kanan Moody as that center partnership. I really like that. I really enjoyed the way that they play. So, yeah, I can't wait to see what's going to happen up against Argentina, and how Rassie is going to deal with that physicality, how he's going to be able to deal with the likes of Julia Montoya, Vivas, that's a lot of strength. Rubiolo, who is an absolute monster. So the Springboks have the depth. As I say, they got God tier depth. They have everything that you could potentially want to come through with a huge win up against Argentina and kind of keep that spot. But is it going to come easy? No, it's actually going to be one of the more difficult tests, especially considering how physical the Argentinians are. But when you have the legs like your Ethan Hooker, when you have the legs of Damian Willemse, when you have the legs of Cheslin Colby, it definitely does go a very, very far way. I am not going to be upset if I do happen to see if I happen to see the likes of Lua de Jager and Ruan Nogia getting that partnership. I actually really like that partnership that they showed up against the All Blacks. Jasper Wiese is an essential player, absolutely essential. But honestly, we have some players here that, is really starting to impress. And I think we are going to be seeing a lot more rotation. I'd love to see Marnus van der Merwe maybe get himself a starting spot. Same thing with Jan Hendrik Wessels. I'd love to see him get a spot as well. Maybe have a little partnership, start building on a couple different things, seeing Wilco Low get a bit more starting time, instead of coming on as an impact player. Maybe bring on Thomas de Toit as that impact player and have Wilco Low, assert that early dominance. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think right now, having Australia, nobody expected Australia to be top of the Rugby Championship right now. But my word, they are. And, if they can come through with a win up against New Zealand, that's going to be interesting. So, guys, as always, drop your thoughts in the comment section below. It really does help the channel grow. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.